Pause! Welcome to the 12 Days of Sickness. My name is Chance with the Seer Club. I want to give you all a warning before you jump into this video. The 12 Days of Sickness is a seasonal thing. This channel has no intention of being an educational channel, and we are no professional. So enjoy, but be aware of that. If you like our vibes and our personality, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and let's get back into your video. Peace. Hello, welcome to another Seer Club video. Today, we are going to talk about how to treat alters in a DID system. First, I want to start with a warning. Always ask the system in question when you have an opportunity to on how they would like to be treated. And that is the most important thing, is that you just be open and honest that you want to know how they would like to be treated. Some systems will prefer you treat them as the same person and not mention it ever. Some people may want you to treat them as individuals, but in this video I'm going to be going over my opinion and what I believe and how I would like to be treated, so that hopefully it may relate to some people and stuff like that. Yeah. So the first question that I think is the most important to think about is, are they individual people or are they the same person? And I think the answer is both. So how I believe the structure of personality works is you have a base personality when you're born, and your experiences shape who you are as you grow, which is a very common theory on how personality forms and develops. So when we look at systems and we look at people who have alternate state of identities, or alters, we can look at these alters in both senses. Because if we look at the base, they are the same person. They started with the same base personality, but with barrier walls, it grew to have different life experiences, making them different people. So when we look at these alternate state of identities, we're looking at different altered bases. So when we look at it that way, there are a few general things to keep in mind. The first one is to always hold the system accountable. For us, we go by, if one could do it, they all could, right? And what that basically means is if one alter could punch you in the face, all of them could have, because their base of personality allowed them to punch you in the face. But their experiences made it more likely. So get mad about it if you need to. But do try to understand that if it is a minor offense, for example, accidentally making a joke that hurt your feelings or made you upset, and no, I'm not talking about really offensive jokes, but for example, they made fun of the way your hair was standing up and it really hurt your feelings. Instead of getting mad at another alter in the system, I recommend that you come at it with a calm, collected mind and try to communicate with this alter, explain what happened, and ask them if there's anything they could do to help that alter recognize that that joke was not okay. Now, if you can talk to the alter who said that joke, that's probably the best solution, in my opinion. Another thing we need to keep in mind is to respect those differences. If we're looking at someone that, is changed because of the experiences they've experienced, we need to understand that their reactions to things can be different from one another. For example, let's say you are dating a system, and there's one person in the system who is all huggy and touchy and kissy, and they love cuddles, and they just want to be all up in your face. But then someone switches out, and they don't like touching, they don't like cuddles, they don't like hugging, they don't want to kiss. instead of being upset at that person for not pretending to be the other person, respect the fact that they just don't have the life experiences of feeling safe and comfortable in that situation. Now, if they're being mean about it, that's when we refer to the first thing I said of you need to talk to them about it, and you need to try to talk to other alters in the system about what happened. Next, you need to get to know them as individuals. And what I mean by this is try to get to know alters. Let's say the person who just doesn't like hugs and cuddles is just very closed off in general. Get to know them as if they're just a person. Try to get to know them. Start off with safe things that you would ask anyone when you're first getting to know them. What's your favorite color? What do you like to do? Do you want to play a board game? Try not to ask for things like, what's your deepest trauma? Because most likely they're closed off. That's going to close them off more. So if you want to get to know them and be there for them, and possibly even get cuddly with them at some point, you might want to actually get to know them as a person. Because it's not fair to assume that they're going to want to cuddle with you because one person in the system wants to cuddle with you. So, especially if you're not respecting them as a person, or I should say, as an individual alter. Next, don't ever force an alter to do certain things. And those certain things I am talking about are things like tell you who's fronting, tell you trauma, tell you what's going on, why are you panicking, that may cause distrust. Another thing you shouldn't force an alter to do is switch, ask them to switch, or anything like that. This can be considered dangerous and honestly harmful to someone who is a system. Switching is not a peaceful feeling. It is not just spacing out and then someone comes out. So when you purposely use a trigger to force someone to switch, it hurts. You are hurting that person. And if you think it's unfair that you're hanging out with someone that you don't have fun with, you are automatically creating a situation where they won't like you. And that you clearly show that you do not value them as a person. And so forcing alters to do things like that when they're clearly uncomfortable with those things will make you untrustworthy. And frankly, in my opinion, it makes you a bad person. Because you are literally hurting somebody. Now, I want to also go over some extra things to help with new alters and how to help new alters when it's their first time fronting in the situation they're in. So this is for if someone doesn't know you in the system, but you've been living together for a year or 6 months or 2 weeks or 7 years. This is something that can really help. So a few times systems can get really, really dissociated, and we're talking like lack of responses and stuff like that. My thing is if you can't communicate with them, watch them, make sure they're safe, and as soon as you see any type of life, meaning they're responding to a sound, they make a different face, they move their finger, the first step is to find a way to communicate. And what I mean by this is not have them talk to you. What I mean is if they blink, like a full blink, because typically when someone's dissociating, it's a partial blink. So if they can fully blink, we are talking about lid touching lid. That is a way you can find communication, right? Blink twice in a row if you can hear me. If they move their finger, you can go, hey, could you try to move your finger again if you can hear me? This helps with two things: the communication of being able to help them and helping them ground. The second step is, if you can create that communication on the smallest movements, you can start to help them ground. And I plan on creating another video in this 12 Days of Sickness series that go over some grounding techniques that really, really help me. But if you can help them ground and calm down if they're panicking, it will be really helpful to make them feel safe and comfortable, especially if they were triggered by something very, very upsetting. Because not only are they having a headache and tightness and a lot of pain, but also they just had a flashback. Helping them calm down can be really helpful. The first thing that you should do once they are fully grounded is answer every single question they have. Where am I? You tell them the exact location they're at, what they're doing there, and who you are. Because most of the time when systems are confused, they're asking questions. If they ask who they are, you give them their legal name, not the last altar that was out. That can be more confusing for new altars. But you just explain those things to them. Explain who you are to them as well. And then once they've calmed down a bit, hopefully they feel safer around you, that you can try to distract from the thing that just happened. Which, distraction is not always a good thing, but in these moments where it's causing panic, disorientation, and heavier dissociation, helping with distraction is a very good tool. This can be things like conversing about things they like, or playing a board game, or watching a video, or, even talking about yourself can work. Just as long as it distracts them from what just happened. And the best advice I can give in these situations is to act like what happened didn't bother you. Don't pretend it didn't exist, especially if they're wanting to talk about it. But if they're not wanting to talk about it, act like it didn't bother you. Like they just said something to you and you're still hanging out. It's really helpful for those who feel guilt relying on others, and will help them feel like less of a burden in that moment, or less like they ruined your time by having a natural medical issue. And then a warning is in these moments you can get trauma dumped on. And what I mean by that is they might have gone into a flashback, and so they might go on a rant about what this flashback is about and what they've been through. And that is a little more difficult to deal with, but the best advice I can give is listen, be there, do your best. And personally, what I find works the best for me in those situations when I'm panicky and not fully conscious, what helps me ground as well is jokes. Making funny little jokes, if you stumble over your words, like making fun of the way it sounded, just having fun can be a great distraction, and help people calm down. Another note to have here is to talk in a calming voice. Do breathing exercises if they're panicked. Try to remind them that they are safe, especially after giving your information of your relationship, your name, how long you've known them, whatever is most comforting. And basically, after that, I would recommend trying to just have fun. right? Try to make the situation better. Alters who get triggered out by really bad stuff and have like a bad time typically were triggered out by something really, really negative. And so it's really important to have fun and show them a good time because they don't get those often. So if you can create those situations where they can have a good time, it'll help. And using my red shirt, blue shirt theory, it's giving red a good experience. Anyway, that's all I have for this video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and good night.